Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. How's everyone today? I'm Renata Marino, and this is True North. Welcome. I haven't been around. This is the first one for this week, but I hope everybody's doing well. I'm excited to be back talking about overcoming adversity and finding purpose. And I'm excited about today's episode entitled The Law of Attraction. What is the law of attraction? How do we get there? And what does it do for our success in our personal and professional relationships? First, I'm going to start off with a story. I will talk about me personally, but it's a friend's story. And this is just a very succinct way of talking about the law of attraction in a career perspective. So I have a friend many years ago who was looking for a job. He had not been in the corporate world for many, many years. I don't know, maybe 10 years. He was an entrepreneur. And he was switching over back to corporate. And anytime there's a switch in career trajectory and you have to sell yourself, it's tough. Repositioning yourself in your career is not an easy task. It requires grit. It requires a lot of humility. It requires ingenuity. It requires networking, which is something that I love to do and I'm known for in the marketplace, which is making really authentic connections with people, asking for help. It requires a lot. And so he was struggling, and I know the story well, not from his perspective, actually from the career advisor's perspective. And because I was meeting with the same career advisor about my career. But one of the things she said is when she works with candidates, and in his case, someone in career transition, a lot of us, including myself, this is not just this friend, but when we are desperate, when we are in a panic, when we are in a state of fear, when we are in a state of, I keep getting all these rejections, I'm in a mental, physical, and emotional state of, I'm not making money. I don't have any money. Like, I need to build up my worth. I'm never going to transition to this job. Like, negative self-talk turns into emotional distress, and it's written all over your face. The key thing is, not only are you physically showing it on your face, but the inner turmoil is just exudes. It permeates all over the place. And we don't know, and this is the tough thing, because we all experience this at every point in our life. We don't have to be an adult. We could be a kid, trying to make the basketball team or the soccer team or whatever. And, you don't want to mess up. You want to, you want to score the goal, or you want to make a play. You want the coach, the scouts to look at you. When you are in a state of fear, you're going to mess up, you're going to, and it's like this. I have another story. So, oh my God, this is a great story. So anyway, let me finish that story. I'll get back to that story. So he was in a state of panic. He was in a state, and he was getting rejections upon rejections, and all his interviews, they were just going poorly just because he had this state of, he wasn't in a state of confidence. He was in a state of panic and fear. I think he was running out of money. Like everything was falling, his world was falling apart. Okay. We've all been there. We all have been there. So again, this is about the law of attraction. Okay. And it starts with your mental state. Okay. So let me just talk about this. Okay. And then I'll go to the next story, which is not about me. It's about somebody else, but it's the greatest story ever. I love this story. So hear me out. So the biggest challenge for us, it all starts in the brain. Whether, like, every single thing, the law of attraction, our career success, where we see ourselves, it all starts with up here. Like depression, it all starts with going on up here. And if we're overthinkers, like I am, this could be the detriment. This could be our downfall, is what goes on up here. So, and this is why I love Dave Goggins, because he trains the mind to flip the switch in the head. We all need to create our own toolkit. Okay. This is essential. We all need to create our own toolkit. My son has a toolkit for mental health. Okay. He's working on this. He's working on his own and he's he's 13. I'm swearing because I'm really upset about this. Adults need to have their toolkit. Okay. I'm building mine now. Thankfully, I've always had working out in the morning as part of my toolkit. And I recognize this about myself, is where I believe moving your body is one of the essential things to flipping the switch in your head to actually crank your brain so you have positive self-talk. And the reason why is physically, it gives you an endorphin high. It also allows you to, that endorphin high kicks in some other things inside your body, but more importantly, you eat better. I do believe what you put in your mouth, the food that you put in your mouth. And I know this because when I eat greens and when I stay away from carbs, pasta and bread and any refined sugars, I have a much better mental capacity, mental attitude, and it resonates physically. So we as adults need to create our own toolkit that actually is positive for our thoughts in our mind. Again, this relates to law of attraction, because what happens in your mind happens with your emotional state. And this is the other thing. You can't rely on outside accolades, outside people like social media, likes, followers, people patting you on the back, getting the trophy. If you're relying on outside affirmation that controls your state of mind, it's a faulty foundation. I'm going to say that one more time. If you rely on outside affirmations, social media, likes, followers, trophies, getting in Forbes magazine, any kind of outside factors to affect your state of mind, that's a faulty foundation. What needs to happen is you need to control what goes on up here. It cannot be outside accolades. And take it from someone who's a overachiever. I've got every trophy. I've hit every milestone. And if you've lived your life, you grew up in a childhood environment where getting the trophy and, making the varsity captain and being the, getting in the number one business school, getting all the, it's great. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not grateful for how hard I've worked and what I put into it. I'm saying if you use that as your way of your self-esteem, it's going to be a constant. You'll never be satisfied. So again, this goes back to law of attraction. You will be successful, but the way you need to draw that success in is it has to come from within. And when it comes from within, starting with the mind. So you need to have positive self-talk. And how do you create positive self-talk? You need a toolkit. Everybody's different. One solution isn't perfect for everyone, but some ideas include exercise, moving your body, doing the things you love physically. You have to move your body, and it has to be every day. It can't be just doing it once a week. Personally, and I prefer the morning because it actually affects my positivity all day. I have such a better attitude. I get the endorphin high. And if I'm upset, angry, frustrated, I just let it on the treadmill or I let it on the weights. I'm angry. Let's say I'm angry or frustrated. I'm going to go lift some weights or I'm going to run it out. And my attitude completely is different when I walk. When I walk in, I'm pissed. When I walk out, I'm happy. So again, everybody needs a toolkit. That's part of my toolkit. The part that, so exercise. And then that exercise leads to me eating healthy. And then I realized when I drink 6 liters of water a day, I'm just so much better. I have so much more energy. And then, when I eat salads, 1 salad a day, I know Jesse Itzler, he in his calendar club that I was part of in 2020 during COVID, 2020, 2021, he had a list of suggestions. He's got, I actually wish I saved it. I should bring it for next time. I'm going to promote Jesse and his calendar club. He would love that. But I honestly believe that it can help a lot of people. He had some examples of what daily, there was this big calendar, and you had like what you're going to accomplish, life calendar, not a career calendar, life goals, like enjoying life. And I need to do more of this because I'm focused on career so much, but I am enjoying life. But there was a section where you would list in every month daily goals that are healthy goals. And one of his suggestions was 1 salad a day. And I started doing that. And I just have salads whenever I feel like it, but making a point to make a salad or having more greens in my smoothie, it really makes a big difference in my overall demeanor. And I'm just a happier person. I mean, yesterday I had fries. I kind of felt gross this morning. I'm like, why did I do that? It was fun when I was eating it because I always eat fries, salads and fries. But again, once in a while, it's not a big deal, but every day I'm talking about every day. So anyway, you need to create a toolkit. Again, exercise, eating healthy, drinking water. The one area that I wasn't doing was that affected my mental, oh my God, is meditation, because I'm, have a lot of energy, and I read into a lot of things, and I don't like, I want to stay positive. So anytime I've learned this about myself the past 3 years, anytime I feel stressed out, I just drop what I'm doing and I go and lay down for 5 minutes, and I just do like a self-guided meditation through Spotify, whatever it is, for 5 minutes. And I breathe deep breaths, and my breath slows down, and then my heart rate slows down. So when I focus, and I actually started learning how to breathe appropriately for de-stressing when I was doing Wim Hof breathing. I had the app. There's like a free Wim Hof. He does like the ice baths. I started doing that. I got to work my way up. I do ice showers. Not anymore. I have to. You know what? I'm going to reinstitute that. But whatever. Like over the past couple of years, I was trying to create my toolkit. What is my go-to toolkit that I can use to keep my mental thoughts positive? Because I discovered, and I can graph this out for you guys, when your mental thoughts are positive, your emotional state is positive. You're elated, you exhibit positivity, smiling, upbeat. You are just like, and that's all natural. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that positivity is natural. So how can we individually create this state of emotional happiness starting from here? Okay? You have to create a toolkit that's healthy and sustainable that works for you. Some people do yoga in the morning. Like I used to go do 6 a.m. yoga, which actually I probably should still do, but I do HIIT. Yoga is very calming. It's very slows the pace down. Like everybody needs something different. Like I need both. I need HIIT. I need high intensity to get like aggression out. And then I need a calming. I take Epsom salt baths today. Oh wait, I need to cancel. I'm supposed to go. I every 2 weeks I go float in Epsom salt at a local spa. And when I couldn't do that, I was doing it in my bathtub. And you don't really float. The place where I go to, it's called Auto Float. They have floating tanks. And actually, I'm a water person, so I need to hear water. I need to be in water. I need to live on the water. Like I just have to be around water. And I didn't know that until the past couple of years since the pandemic. It's healing for me. It's soothing for me. It calms me down. I need to be in nature. I need to hear the birds, and I need to be near the waves, and I need to hear water. That keeps me grounded. It keeps me calm. It keeps me centered. And when this is good, the emotions are good. And when my physical body feels healthy and looks healthy, I'm elated, I'm happy, I'm positive, and then I start attracting goodness, greatness. And unfortunately, many of us have gone through rough patches in our lives where we were caught up in challenging situations, and it's not easy to be positive during those times. And we shouldn't be punished for or berated for being sad, for being lonely, for feeling forsaken, abandoned, deceived, because it happened. And you can't be positive when all of that's going down. But what we can do during those times of strife is feel the pain, cry it out, feel the hurt, and get to a place of find the things, eliminate things that aren't filling our soul, that aren't filling our positivity, our vibes. People, eliminate people. I mean, it's a real big process. You have to say goodbye to a lot of people. You have to say goodbye to a lot of environments that aren't good for you. I mean, you really need a clean house. And some of us, myself included, had to go through that. And sometimes it takes a long time. It probably took me a good solid year to say goodbye to a lot of people and to distance myself. I mean, it really was probably more like 2 years, but I'd say a good solid year. Packing up and moving, blocking people on social media. I mean, bad vibe people, saying, really eliminating people. I mean, you have to. And I think I didn't realize that I had this built up over time that was really affecting the law of attraction for me. I was attracting the wrong people. I was reading some and I said this story before, and we'll do cards, but I need to get back to my other story, the law of attraction. The mental. Oh, let me tell that story first, and then I'll get back to, then I'll talk about myself, about what I had to do and how I did it. Because I will be in my book. I'll have a step-by-step process to help people. So I want to talk about the mental, what goes on up here. Okay. Listen, this is huge. The hardest thing to do is to have positive self-talk when everybody around you is negative. I'm going to say that again. The most challenging thing in terms of the law of attraction as it relates to success, both in your personal and professional relationships, is keeping a positive mental self-talk when everyone and everything around you is negative and makes you feel like a panic is about to happen. I'll say it one more time. The most challenging thing in terms of the law of attraction is keeping a positive self-talk up here while everyone and everything around you is negative. I'm going to give you a story. So I actually helped get a speaking engagement for Brandy Chastain, who, as everyone knows, she scored the winning goal when the Women's World Cup, when the women won the first World Cup back in, I don't know when it was, the 90s. She's on the cover of Sports Illustrated with her sports bra. And I met her through a startup board that I was on that helps former athletes transition into their chapter 2 of their career. And she was speaking. And I met her, and it was online. It was an online amazing networking tool, which I will be using. But anyway, I met her and we followed up and had several calls. Her brother lives 2 blocks away, which is kind of cool from me. And she works for a startup. She does a lot of things. But basically, I was on Jesse Itzler's. Everyone knows Jesse. Jesse's Sarah Blakely's husband, former marquee jet owner. And now he's a serial entrepreneur and a speaker. He's a motivational speaker, and I love him. He's a great guy, and I learned a lot from him. I continue to learn a lot from him. And everyone knows I love physical feats and challenging myself. And he has a lot of ultra marathons, which I've done an ultra with him, or kind of that he did. And then I want to do more. But anyway, I introduced Brandy to Jesse and got her a speaking engagement on Jesse Itzler's BYLR, Big Ass Calendar Club. And Brandy spoke during COVID, online, obviously, to hundreds of us who are part of the program on on different things about her life and her transition from former athlete into what she's doing now. But more importantly, Jessie asked a really good question. Tell us what was going through your mind when you were taking that penalty shot and the pressure was on, and it was either, win the World Cup base or not. And she said, this is crazy. This is crazy. She's so awesome, by the way. She's so down to earth. Like, I'm excited because she's joining my team and what I'm doing. But anyway, she said that she's there, like she's ready to go up there and take the shot. And I forgot which coach it was. It wasn't the main coach. I think it's the coach that does all the shooting. I don't know. There's different coaches, right? The guy, I don't know who it was, goes in her ear, whispers in her ear, don't mess up. Or don't miss. Guys, listen to me. You know what she did? It takes a very strong person up here, okay, to keep a positive self-talk when everybody around you is negative. First of all, you need to distance yourself. But again, you can't really distance yourself from a coach that says, like, don't mess up, don't miss. You know what I'm saying? This is what she did. She said this on Jessie's thing. You can ask. She said she already envisioned. Well, first of all, she's like, don't look at the goalie. You're not supposed to look at the goalie. When you do a penalty shot, do not look at the goalie at all. But she already envisioned the goal going in, even before she got up there. It was a visual. She says she does visualizations. I don't know if they have this. I'm sure that there's coaches that do this. But guys, listen, and I put this on Twitter this morning early. Already visualize where you are. Already visualize that you have it. Already visualize that you have the success. Already visualize that you're in that role. Already visualize that you have your Nantucket house. Already visualize that you're like running your fund. Already visualize that you're on doing speaking, getting paid for speaking engagements all around the world. Already visualize it. Like, I don't care, like, if it's not even, you're not even close to it. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Already visualize it. She visualized that ball was going in the goal. It didn't matter what this dude said, her coach. It didn't matter, like, all the screaming and people with their, like, trying to distract her. She was in the zone. She already had the visualization. Already visualize it. And they won. It was crazy. It was one. But that's that lesson that she said on Jessie's thing. That's what we all have to do. Already visualize it. And it's like the minute like a negative self-talk or doubt comes into your mind, what are you going to do? Go to your toolkit. What's in your toolkit to get your mind right? It's like this other, so I do HIIT in the morning, and there's this former HIIT instructor that I follow all the time. He's got a great, Jeremy Walton. He's awesome. Shout out Jeremy. I haven't talked to him forever. It's in the mind. And I think he just started doing yoga a couple years ago because it centers him. And I remember loved going to his HIIT classes, not just for the workout, really. It was for the mental coaching. He's a coach. He's a former coach. I need a mental coach. And I remember like playing tennis, and I know there's a lot of tennis players out there, and I don't know, maybe golfers. I think all athletes need a mental coach. All athletes. I don't care if you're on a team. I don't care if you're on a team. I think athletes need a mental coach. I also think that professionals need a mental coach. I think it's like having a career coach, but it's more than that. It's really like the positive self-talk, because I think we can manifest our own greatness, our own success, if we have control over what goes on up here. And that's why I follow Dave Goggins. I do believe there's power in the mind, and he's always mind over matter. He wrote a book. There's like there's an article on him, or I think it's a book too. All of us have 40% more left in us, and that's part of the Navy SEALs like attitude. Is like, you may be spent and like going through doing something like running a marathon or doing something. If your mind is telling you that your knee hurts or you're going to like vomit because you can't like keep running, you always have 40% left in you. It's like when you're lifting weights in the weight room. This is how I operate when I lift weights. And I do believe the same thing resonates outside the gym. What goes on inside the gym has a direct impact to what happens outside the gym. And this is what I mean by that. If you're lifting weights, like I just increased my free weights for curls for arms from 25 to 30, 5 pounds on each arm. And that's hard. I mean, I lift heavy. And I just did it like last week. I'm like, you know what? I've been doing these 25 way too long. It's been years. This is stupid. I'm plateauing. It's time to up my ante. Like we gotta increase it. Like this is ridiculous. Like, why am I just being complacent? It's time to go up the next level. I'm ready to move up to the next level. And so I grabbed 230s today. And also I grabbed 225s. So this is how I operate, guys. Let's say there's like 20 reps. I'm just making this up. 10 reps. Okay. You grab those 30s to start off. And let's say you only get to number 5 and you're literally like this. You can't do anymore. Then you drop them and you finish out that set with a 25 weights. And then the next day, let's say you get to 6 and then you drop the 30s and then you pick up the 25s and you finish out the set with 25s. Excuse me, in a month's time, you don't need those 25s anymore. You're on the 30s all the time. It's baby steps. It's baby steps. And can I tell you that exact example is the same thing that happens outside the gym with your career. Like, I'm going to send an email. I'm going to ask. All I could say is no. And if they say no, I'm going to keep asking. And if they're going to say no, I'm going to keep asking. Like it's baby steps. It's little tiny wins. I've been transitioning my career for the past, since 2018 from founder to venture capital. And, there's a lot of people that were negative to me. Oh, you'll never do this, or you don't have this, or you don't have that. A lot of venture capitalists, a lot of men, and a lot of women. And I can name names. You know how depressing it was? And I was in a learning stage for quite some time. Maybe, learning and then doing. First, I was learning, accumulating data, assessing the market. And then I was in the doing, the volunteering, the pro bono work. Basically like a long-term apprenticeship, a long-term internship, volunteering my time, helping people, making connections. And then between the gathering data and the research and assessing the market and volunteering my time, I started realizing, hold on a minute. These people are telling me I don't have this. I go, I have more than they do. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Who are these people? And then you start figuring out your what is it? Your golden ticket. Like, what's your secret sauce in this industry? And how are you different? And how are you better? In a different way. What can you bring to the table? And you create your own story. But I'm telling you right now, in the beginning, when people were saying all these negative things to me, I was in a state of sadness, depression, but I was attracting all those people because my self-worth was so down, and and I knew nothing about this new career. And I'm speaking from someone who went through this. And I remember, and this is professionally, and I was, self-doubt. Oh, because people were telling me you don't have this and you don't have that. And I was believing them. And I'm like, I was attracting more of that, more of these low vibe people that, I'm like, and then when you start spending time alone and start realizing your worth and you start having the aha moments, you're like, wait a minute. It's like, I don't, and then you start owning your story and accumulating all this experience because you volunteered, you did all this pro bono work. Then you're like, you create a story for yourself, and you create confidence because you know the market. You've been doing it. You're basically like already doing the job for years. And now you're like, okay, it's time to pay the piper. But basically, everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own take. And now you know who, you know that you have the self-confidence. And so when you start telling your story and you still tell it confidently, you start attracting like people who are like you. And unfortunately, maybe it took me a little longer to get there than most, but I think when you've been through what I've been through, in my story is pretty big, and your self-worth is diminished. It's over time, it's really kind of squished. Um, it takes a lot of work and a lot of starting from the bottom to build it back up again, especially when you're transitioning into a new industry. It's like a double whammy. But I hope in my book, and hopefully more talks and hopefully a TED Talk, to be able to publicly state the tactical things that we can do to create that positive self-talk in our minds, and what it takes to attract greatness and attract success and attract like-minded people. It's really about the law of attraction. And it starts with, quite honestly, it starts with investing in yourself. And it's not just investing in your career and going to school and, job. It's investing in your own emotional health, mental health. And it's feeling a lot of the pain and a lot of the suffering and a lot of the deceit and a lot of the hurt from the past, from other people that you thought they loved you, and they did love you, but maybe threatened by your greatness or your light. And a lot of people have a hard time facing when you're full of light and greatness and goodness, you oftentimes you show people what they don't want to see in themselves, and that makes them negative. So it's a whole process that I'm going to talk about at some other point. Maybe I'll talk about it next week. But the bottom line is getting to a place of confidence and love in yourself, and flipping the switch in your head in a positive way by having a really good, awesome toolbox that's your go-to, that no outside person, no social media, no outside person can affect. You basically control what goes on up here based on all the tools that you have in your toolbox that are healthy tools. Anyway, hopefully that helped. We're going to do cards, and then I have some emails to get to. I hope this was helpful. I'm excited to speak more about this subject. There's a lot to unpack in terms of the law of attraction. It makes a lot of sense that the more positive you are, the more positive people are in your life. But I think the hardest part is for those of us who've been through the storm and have been hurt by a lot of people in the past, whether it's in our childhood, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in a workplace, and it's okay to feel the sadness and the hurt. But I think recognizing that when we're negative, when we're resentful, when we're angry about hurt, we do attract low vibe people that are in the same state, and it keeps us stuck there. Do you know what I'm saying? And I didn't recognize this in my relationships, romantic relationships and professional relationships, until I was reading all these self-help books during COVID. I was like, what is going on? And when you start seeing a pattern happen, that's when it's eye-opening. And that's when you're like, no. And then you just say, I need to distance myself, and I need to figure this out for myself. I need to heal what's going on for myself, create my own self-worth, self-respect, build my own confidence up in who I am as a person, and believing in myself. Because when you believe in yourself, people will believe in you. And you have to be genuine, authentic about believing in yourself and your greatness, because everybody has different gifts, and you have to really believe in your gifts. And it's so critical. You have to really, and when I say love yourself, but it's the same thing as believing in your greatness, believing in your uniqueness, that you bring something to the table that nobody else has, and own it. Own it. Because don't compare yourself to other people. It's silly. It's you're not other people. And I think once you get, and that's the part that I want to speak publicly about, is owning who you are, owning your greatness. And don't let anyone else diminish your greatness. Don't let anyone else question your greatness. And unfortunately, if we find ourselves in relationships, well, how we get caught up in relationships, God only knows, where the person pushes you down because of your light, because of your greatness, because you're shining on them and showing them their shadows. You're showing them their weaknesses. You're showing them what they don't have. So if they are in a position of power, they will dim your light. Sometimes not on purpose, sometimes because of their own insecurity. But I'll talk about that more and how you get out of that, because you really need to get out of that so you can be free and so you can be happy. You have to surround yourself with awesome people that love you for you and that love your light. And until you believe in yourself and believe in your uniqueness, you're not going to attract those amazing people. And so I think this past week I was at South by Southwest, and I was so happy and elated because I was surrounding myself. I was so happy to be there and grateful that I was surrounding myself with amazing, kind, warm, smart, successful people that had been through the same, and we're all together. And those are the people that I want to surround myself with. So it's about the law of attraction. All right, let's do cards. And then I got to go. All right, you ready? This is my favorite part. I love doing this. Oh, before I do cards, I want to just talk about this book. Speaking of book, I have not read this book, and I feel bad because it's been out for several years. This is a fellow classmate from Bowdoin College. Hey, Tony, what's up? I haven't seen him since I was at a fraternity at Kappa Sig drinking beer in the basement. They don't have fraternities anymore. But that was the last time I saw Tony. Anthony. I call him Tony. I think I just finished up a game of beer pong, and I was getting another beer. It's a TMI. Anyway, this book is All the Light We Cannot See. Okay? And I haven't read it yet. My mom read it. She's like, it's so good. Actually, you know what? I need to read it. I'm going to go on my next vacation. I'm going to go and I'm going to read this book, probably on a beach. Hold on. I'm going to read this. Okay? I'll read a summary. I've not read this, so I don't even know. Marie Laurie lives with her father in Paris near the Museum of Natural History, where he works as a master of its thousands of locks. When she is 6, Marie Laurie goes blind, and her father builds a perfect miniature of their neighborhood so she can memorize it by touch and navigate her way home. When she is 12, the Nazis occupy Paris, and father and daughter flee to the walled citadel of Saint Malo, where Marie Laurie's reclusive great-uncle lives in a tall house by the sea. With them, they carry what might be the museum's most valuable and dangerous jewel. In a mining town in Germany, the orphan Werner grows up with his younger sister, enchanted by a crude radio they find. Werner becomes an expert at building and fixing these crucial new instruments, a talent that wins him a place at the brutal academy of Hitler Youth, then a special assignment to track the resistance. More and more aware of the human cost of his intelligence, Werner travels through the heart of the war and finally into San Malo, where his story and Marie Laurie's converge. Doer, Tony. Tony's stunning sense of physical detail and gorgeous metaphors are dazzling. Deftly interweaving the lives of Marie Laurie and Werner, he illuminates the ways against all odds people try to be good to one another. 10 years in the writing, All the Light We Cannot See is a magnificent, deep-moving novel from a writer whose sentences never fail to thrill. Shout out to Tony Doer. So I have this on my bookshelf and I haven't read it. I've got so many books. I probably should have read it during COVID. I'll read it now. It's a bestseller. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller. All the Light We Cannot See. I just want to say shout out to Tony. I will, I'm going to keep it out. So maybe I'll try to read a couple pages a night, Tony. Anyway, let's do this. Let's do cards. And then I got to go. What's your favorite way to spend time with your family? Oh, my favorite way? I mean, I have different ways. My current family, my kids. I like going to Nantucket with my kids. I actually want to do, Nantucket is my favorite place. Going on vacations. I really like going on vacations, but not I like vacations that you can have downtime and play board games at home, really chill. And there's stuff to do, like activities and stuff. But vacations. I like to be at home I'm a homebody. I like to be at home with my kids. I want like, and I like having people over, but, home, simple things, And then, same thing with my family. Just stuff at home, like down to earth, nice things, nice time, just simple, nothing extravagant. Is your glass half empty or half full? I mean, it's always half full, guys. It's always half full, even in the depths of despair. I think this has to do with the law of attraction. I'm just like, I'm focusing on day-to-day stuff. Like, I'm focusing on all the positive stuff in my life. I'm lucky. I'm healthy. My kids are healthy. I've got a roof over my house. I'm like, I get to do this. I get to do my dream job. I get to be a speaker. I get to work out every day. My body still moves. You just have to look at everything positively. There's a lot of stuff I want to happen yesterday. It's taking longer, but I don't care. I don't give up. Besides your family, who has known you the longest? I mean, I know myself the longest. The longest? Oh, my friend Maria Paz. Maria Paz is she, myself, and this other woman, Christina Sierra. We were the only 3 Latin families who grew up in Needham, Mass during the 70s and 80s. Because it was a sea of all. Happy St. Patty's Day. Speaking of all Irish Catholic in Boston. I'm not wearing green. But Maria Paz, when I was born, she was there. She and her dad and my dad worked in the same, he was Chilean, and they rented one floor of a building in Needham is it Chestnut Medical Building? That's when my dad launched his practice with 0 patients, lots of equipment, lots of debt, but literally had to, and he's a Mexican, had to, second language, English, had to build his practice up. And so they did it together, and he owned one side of the floor, and then my friend Maria's. So I grew up with her. Play dates when we were little. Her and her family, her sisters and her brothers. She's the number one. She's amazing. And she's a nurse. She's a badass. She's still my friend. If you could give everyone in the world one item, what would it be? Item? Like a shell, like a seashell, like a rock or something, like something they can hold on to for hope. It symbolizes hope. If I could give everyone in the world one thing that symbolized hope, it would be either a shell or like a rock from the beach. It doesn't have to say hope on it, but it would symbolize hope. You hold on to it. If you're in a sadness, you hold on to it. I'm going to start crying. Literally. What's in your toolbox that can keep your mind right? Like if you're sad, if there's something that you can hold on to that like, for example, I'm going to give you an example. I have upstairs, it's not like a shrine. It's like a little, it's like a shrine. The Mexicans do it. It's like for your ancestors. During the Day of the Dead, we honor our ancestors. I had never done this before, but I did this over COVID because of my grandmother. And I honor your ancestors that came before you. Okay. And I have, for my grandmother, because she's really close to me, I have candles. And then I have her old, I should actually get some other stuff out, but she has these gloves, in the olden days, they wore gloves that go to here. And I have them there. And sometimes I put them on when I feel like she's close by or I need her help. And I'll say, I don't pray, but I'll say like, her picture's there when she was 18. She's beautiful, gorgeous. I'll say, Grandma, I'm having a tough day, Grandma. Like, I need your help. And whether or not she's listening, I think she is. I'll say, like, can you help me? I'm having a tough day. I'll put on her gloves light a candle. Sometimes I'm crying. Sometimes I'm sad. I also, if things go well, I thank her. I'm like, thank you so much. I needed it. Anyway, keep going. At what age should kids take responsibility to eat healthier? I mean, let me tell you something. I do believe that how you grew up and how you ate and what was in your cabinets has a direct correlation with how your habits eating as an adult. Until you're educated on how to grocery shop, what to put inside your cabinets. This is a major issue with the health of the world. And because I invest in health and wellness, and I do believe that healthy food is expensive. That's why a lot of the lower income population is not healthy, because they just, go to McDonald's for dinner because it's cheap and quick and easy. They don't know how to make healthy choices. So the way you grew up, like there's a female founder who's Latina that I talked to is, don't tell me the name. I got it. It's a beauty brand. I need to talk to her. It's a beauty brand, but she's switching to nutrition, and I forgot what it's called. She's in Chicago. I forgot her name. She's awesome. She's super nice. But she said she grew up in on Doritos and like Twinkies, and everybody was overweight and she was chubby. And she said she had an aha about food, and you have to be educated. And so what was the question? At what age should kids take responsibility to eat healthier? I mean, I honestly think, I'm telling you guys, I fed my kids mac and cheese, pasta, and, chicken nuggets. I still do. We just started probably when my kids were probably around 10 or 12, 10. I'm like, guys, we're going to have, I used to make our dinner, and a separate dinner for my kids. My sister makes like 7. She has 4 kids under the age of 12. She makes like 7 dinners for these kids, all different things. Again, everybody has their own parenting style. I'm starting to be like, guys, we're having one thing. I'm not making 8 million different things. We're going to have grilled chicken. We're going to have a salad, and we'll have like rice or whatever. And then, we're starting to all eat the same meal. And teaching your kids like the 4 food groups or whatever, the vegetable, protein, a carb, fruit, like all those different things. Like I think it starts young, 8, 9. Choices. And what's so cool is like my kids are starting to be like, well, I already had a dessert, Mom, earlier. I had some of my like Easter candy, so I'm not going to have dessert. Like I don't say it, they say it. If you could meet one famous influential woman, alive or dead, who would it be? I mean, I want to meet, what's her name? I just saw it on my Facebook thing. I want to meet Amelia Earhart. She's still alive. It's so funny. So I read, my daughter did a book report in 5th grade. It was the first book report she's ever done, and she had to give she had to do a PowerPoint and give a presentation. She's an introvert and freaked out about speaking in public. And she never learned how to read and take notes. So we read the book together every night for months. And she would have note cards, and I'd be like, read a page and be like, do you think anything on this page was important that you need to write down on your card? And we went through this exercise. I mean, it was very slow going, but I had never really known much about Amelia Earhart. And I was like, she is a badass. And guys, you should have seen me when I'm reading with my daughter. She's laying on the floor, like writing. There's a picture on Facebook of her like in a blanket, like writing in her bedroom. And I'm in the chair reading, and I'm reading, and it says something about Amelia. Like she came up with one of the things that she's known for. Well, apart from the fact that she, she started doing all these like almost like an ultra marathon, but in a plane. Stuff that no guy's ever done. No guy has ever done. Like getting on a plane that has limited fuel and going from like Hawaii to, I don't know, Europe, some crazy stuff, and barely making it there. like barely. And like the plane being really old and broken and like fixing it midair. It's like crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I don't know the details, but literally like broken world records. But more importantly, she's so awesome. She didn't want to wear like girly clothes. So she created out of like the parachutes when you come out of a plane. She made those parachute like MC Hammer pants. They look like MC Hammer pants. Those are hers. It's like a style icon. It's like Chanel with the pearls. I'm telling you. So I'm reading and you hear me go, like in the middle of like a sentence, like she's a badass. And my daughter's like, can we focus, Mom? And I'm like, woo! It was funny. It was funny. But anyway, Amelia Earhart. And so there's this thing. So Amelia Earhart, what happened was she got lost somewhere. Like and no one can find her plane. I forgot where she was going, but she was doing one of those, another like airplane, like ultra marathon, and they couldn't find her. So her plane got lost, and somebody, I think if you Google it, we were researching. I had all these sources. I'm like, we gotta find Amelia. I was like to my daughter, I'm like, Peyton, we got to find Amelia. I mean, she's somewhere. Well, let's be the one to find the plane. She's like, Mom, they can't find, but they could hear her. There was some rumor or something like through the intercom or whatever, whatever the GPS or not GPS, the thing that you can hear. She was saying where she was, somewhere off the coast of Hawaii or something. I don't know. But she's still alive. Her spirit is. Amelia Earhart. She's a badass. Because you know why? Because she's not afraid. That's how I am. I'm not afraid. And this goes back to law of attraction. If you want something, you go after it. You don't be afraid. Stop holding yourself back. It's silly. We have one life left. You get to a point in your life and you're like, I am not going to be afraid anymore. It's the negative self-talk. What is your toolkit? What is your toolkit? What's your go-to to get your mind right? All right, this is the last one. Oh, interesting. Maria Montessori. My daughter goes to Montessori. They went to Montessori when they were little, and now she's at a Montessori high school. It's actually really awesome. The fact that you can take all the science classes freshman and sophomore year and then concentrate junior and senior year is great. Because what if you hate dissecting a frog? Why do you want to spend all year doing that? Anyway, Maria Montessori, she was the first female doctor in Italy. She used her early childhood development and educational research to create teaching methods that were adopted by schools across Europe and the U.S. She was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 3 times for her program, Education for Peace. Let me tell you something about the Montessori method. I know some people are poo-pooing it. Whatever. You guys can have your opinion. I will say at nursery school and kindergarten level, let me just say that the fact that my kids did it. You walk into the room. And I'm an academic, guys. I am like hardcore academic. But you walk into the room, and the way the room is set up, and this wasn't like strict Montessori. This was kind of like a happy medium. But listen to this. You walk into this. It's one big room. The classroom is one room. There's no desks. There's tables, like circle tables and little like stations. Each part of the room is a station. The math stations in the corner, and then they also have practical life, which I do think everyone needs practical life, like pouring shit, watering flowers. I mean, setting the table. I mean, come on. Practical life. The science. So there were all these art. There's a corner with art. And so the kids walk in. I think this is genius. When you're in nursery school, how old are you? 3, 4, whatever. You walk in and what do you gravitate towards? Maybe you gravitate to art. And so what happens is the kid gravitates to what they love. And there's little kits where you could take out stuff like for math, it's like dominoes and there's other cards and you're matching and all this different stuff. There's all these tools. It's not just toys. It's like academic stuff that are like researched. You know what I'm saying? Trust me, I'm not going to put my kid in some toy fun thing. Like you need to learn. And so the thing that the teachers exist and they walk around and they help the student or the child figure out how to use one of the tools. Or and then the other thing they do, which I love, let's say over time, a couple weeks, they find out that a kid like is only doing art and math, or art and practical life. Like, I only want to pour water and I only want to color. And so they're missing out on the math and the science. So the teacher will lead the student, like, Abby, why don't you finish up this math thing, this art thing. And when you finish up, let's go try something new. So they encourage the student or the child to go, and then the child gets introduced to that. It's really, really great. It's flexible, and it makes the child take ownership of their education, honestly, and leadership. I just really like the Montessori way. I really do. What's not being taught in school that should be? Social and emotional learning. How do you handle your emotions? What's your toolbox? What if there's bullying? How to handle that? How to handle there's a lot of other things, but I do think social and emotional, it has to be taught. Because I think if kids don't understand how to handle their emotions, how to manage their emotions, and I'm not saying repress, I'm saying actually experience their emotions, it's hard to deal with challenges later in life as things progress. I think that more stress happens as you get older. Grades, sports, adult responsibility. And if you don't know how to handle it, and sometimes your parents are going to support, they don't have the emotional capability, the emotional bandwidth to be there for you. And they may not even believe in therapists. Right over here. My parents did not believe in therapy. You're crying, you can't stop crying. Kids need emotional support. Because if you don't, you repress it, and then it adds up later, and there's big explosions that happen later in life. Just saying. Anyway, that's it. Guys, happy Friday. I hope this was helpful. I will post something. Please follow me and subscribe to my channel. Would love for you guys to listen in. It's really about overcoming adversity and finding our purpose. And if I can be of little or great help to anyone who's going through challenges, that's my role. It's part of my role. Men or women, but I'm here to help, and hopefully this will help even just the slightest person. Thanks, guys. Later.